Quick vlog time, yeah. This isn't quite a review, but I brought a friend, so you know it's official.
It is definitely official in this case.
This is my friend Alfonso Jerome Cortez II.
That is definitely my name.
Yeah. We're here to talk about a show, and talk about what we learned about it. So what we have learned applies to our lives today. Yeah, in case you know what that is, it's VeggieTales. More specifically, VeggieTales in the house. Because remember, we're not talking about this, or this, we're talking about this. That's a house.
It's a bigger rectangle.
Yeah. And what is it? It's horrible.
Strong tip. Don't watch it.
Really don't. This is coming from longtime fans of the original. We still even watch the original today. And we're looking at this both as a spin-off, the continuation, and just a show altogether. What would you say? All three of them fail?
Yes. Quite fail.
It's really bad.
Especially if you've seen and enjoyed the originals.
Even if you didn't enjoy the originals, this is even worse. No, well, we like the original. Again. But you're probably wondering what this is. This is a Netflix-only series that takes place after the lights go out and after the show's no longer like filming or something. You know, like after Bob and Larry go home on their everyday lives, they're making trouble or just having fun with their friends who look so weird.
Who are not the friends we know.
Everyone's changed. Personalities, looks, homes, even some characters have sadly been skipped, but we will get to them. First, let's talk about the redesigns.
First of all, now they have colored irises.
I was actually for that because I already knew they were going to redesign and I was like, I don't know, how close are you going to get? And all I heard was colored irises and I'm like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, there's no problem with that.
But that's not all they did.
Their mouths are
this big when they talk.
Yeah.
Normally Larry, he talks, like this, like his mouth moves about this, but now it goes down to here.
Have you ever seen, if you own the Jonah movie DVD, you might have watched the bonus feature of the digital dailies.
Oh, yes.
You might have seen the one where Laura goes like, and her mouth just goes like.
That's the normal size now for their mouths.
That's everybody.
Everybody. Also, the irises under the net, they're huge. They're like this big.
And there's so much white. It's white with little
very
dots.
Little color. And in the case of Larry, it looks like he's staring into your soul, especially when he smiles like this. It's kind of like on the End of Silliness cover, only like bigger red eyes and a big toothy smile.
Well,
that's not right.
Tooth.
Well, yeah, one big tooth.
And now, when he closes his mouth, instead of the tooth being on the inside, he's got almost an overbite, so the tooth kind of comes down. So
yeah, so he looks like a little kid.
So he's got like buck teeth, but a buck tooth.
And now, Bob, he has like, his leaves, they're more defined, or whatever you call them. I like that. But now he's got kind of like a human-looking face. Did you kind of notice that? Like
yeah.
It actually looks like a real person's face.
It is, which isn't Bob. He's not a real person.
Yeah.
He's a tomato.
Then we get to Junior. Not that much of a change. He's smaller. His hair, or the peas glued to his head, are much bigger. I don't really mind that. Junior's probably the only one that doesn't like affect me at all.
He's kind of become more of like a modernish kid with kind of like longer hair that kind of goes down a bit, and he's not wearing the hat anymore.
Yeah, well, although in recent times he hasn't been wearing the hat anyway.
Yeah.
Then we get to Jimmy and Jerry, who probably went through size reduction surgery.
Jimmy is now like...
He's a little bit bigger than, was it Bob?
He's a little bit bigger than Bob.
They weren't the tallest guys to begin with, but they're like... Alright, so Bob's like this big, and Jimmy and Jerry are this big.
Well, Jerry is like... the size of Larry.
Yeah, Jerry's the size of Larry. Jimmy is super small.
Like that, and then
this is bad, and it gets worse. There's also Archibald, who's got like a giant head now. It's like he's wearing a robe or a suit or whatever, and it's like it constricts his body so that his head just swells up.
And then Pa Grape.
Oh, Pa, what did they do? What did they do to you, Pa? They gave you eyes all of a sudden. That's not right.
And his top hat is like this.
It's like Uncle Blob's hat. Have you guys ever seen 3-2-1 Penguins and you know Uncle Blob's complaining carnival? What do you see
The
now?
big giant fat guy who depopulates planets.
Yeah, by getting everyone to leave and turning them into seeds. It's like this little hat. It's like a yarmulke. It's this big, and if they're already trying to enforce that Podgrape is Jewish, yeah, we kind of know that already.
And that'll come up again later. So
yeah, that's keep that in mind with a certain character. Also, who else? Oh, Jean-Claude and Philippe actually have faces like mustache.
they look. I at first I didn't know who they were. I thought they were different characters. And then I'm like, yeah.
Petunia, just a new hairstyle. That's it. But then again, I don't really care about Petunia because she was introduced. Was it Duke and the Great Pie War?
Yeah.
Not a very good one.
Although she no longer has her weird scorpion ponytail.
That doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what Mr. Luntz looks like. What is it?
Okay, Mr. Luntz looks fairly the same. I think his mustache is a little more defined. His hat is a little bigger and covers more of his face. He may or may not have eyes. You can't really tell, but.
And also, speaking of mustache, Podgrape's entire mouth is his mustache. And now it was like this when he cooks. And yeah, his voice may be the same, but he sure doesn't look the same. It kind of looks like his grandpa or his dad or a strange cousin. You don't know.
It looks like he came out of Pac-Land.
It actually is true. It's like one of that cheesy Pac-Man cartoon that's out now. Also, Madame Blueberry is pretty much reverted to her original state, which is okay.
Laura
looks absolutely different.
Yeah, like, I don't know where to start. I was confused, like, I didn't know if it was Laura or not. Her voice is different, which isn't all bad.
It's changed a bunch throughout the years, as well as her looks, like in this new one that's not very good, Princess and the Pop Star. I didn't know that was Laura at first. You had to tell me it was Laura.
Yeah. Before that even, if you've noticed, her hairstyle changed. Her hairstyle first changed in Jonah, where she had a slight remake. But then it stayed like that for a while. Then I can't remember exactly when it was, but fairly recent. She kind of got a whole body remake. First of all, her face is like all right at the top of her body instead of kind of being a little bit more spread out. It's all kind of pushed to the top.
And actually, I think that's better because then we got VeggieTales in the House syndrome, where your melt is your entire body.
Yeah. So it could have been worse than the alternative.
I actually liked the recent redesign aside from the VeggieTales in the House one, you know, the Princess Monster. Yeah. I thought that was actually a better redesign. It looked better.
It did look good for her. But
yeah, it was much better than the old one.
Yeah.
I have to say that.
It didn't look quite like her, and it got some getting used to, but
when you got used to it, you kind of realized it actually was an improvement.
But then once they got to VeggieTales in the House, it
kind of makes her look older, like a teenager, even though Laura's like 6, 7.
Well, I guess. It never really is clear. In the first
Isn't she Junior's age, though?
Yeah, in the first few, Junior was 5, 6, but then he aged throughout undefinedly.
Yeah, we're getting beyond that. Also, by the way, I don't entirely hate the new stuff. Like, actually, there are some new ones I do like Meaningful Life for one, but that's not important. Now, the rest of the redesigns aren't very important. I don't even know if Mom and Dad Asparagus appear, but let's get to the one that ticked me off the most. Mr. Nezzer.
Mr. Nezzer.
What did they do to you, buddy? What? This ain't right. What's that? I mean, Mr. Nezzer, he's gonna look in the mirror and go, ah! What's that? That's supposed to be me? That's not me. I don't look like that.
Now let's clear up something. They didn't redesign Mr. Nezzer.
They replaced Mr. Nezzer. Mr. Nezzer. How would you put this? Kaputski fired. You know. Not the voice actor Phil Fisher. He's still there.
Although now this new character is voiced
by the great Rob Paulson.
Who, don't get us wrong, he's a great voice actor.
Animaniacs, Dave the Barbarian, of course. I mean, look at that, obviously. But he's awful in this role. He just sounds like this when he's reading.
Yeah,
and by the way, that's not Mr. Nezzer's voice. You know Mr. Nezzer sounds like Oogie Boogie, and when he sings the bunny song, he's got a lot of enunciation and vocal range, but now he just sounds like this, like a grumpy old crusty neighbor kind of guy.
And there's one more thing we should
We should clear up.
His name.
It's not Mr. Nezer. This isn't Mr. Nezer at all. We tricked you. Sort of. Actually, no. Mr. Nezer is not a character anymore.
They had to get rid of him.
Because of DreamWorks mandate, he is now a really stupid name. He has a really stupid name now. What was it?
Ickabeezer.
Ickabeezer.
Ickabeezer. The first syllable in his name describes this whole show.
Not only does he look like a clown now, but they took my favorite character and they changed him to this. He's now basically the grumpy neighbor next door who doesn't want to have any fun. He's all sticking in the mud. But from last I checked, Mr. Nezer, if you're trying to replace him with a new character with a really stupid name, Mr. Nezer is supposed to be a wild, eccentric, crazy guy who goes too far with everything. Not some guy who wants to stay away from his friends. Yeah, because remember Mr. Nezer? These are his friends.
He's not Squidward. He's Mr. Nezer.
Yeah, oh no, they treat him like Squidward.
Yeah.
He's the Squidward of the show. Because every show now has to have a Squidward. Every show has to have one. You're Squidward, he's Squidward, I'm Squidward. Are there any other Squidwards we should know about?
So you and I are both Squidward now?
Yeah, I'm Squidward. And now apparently Mr. Nezer's a Squidward. Or, I'm sorry, Ickabeezer is a Squidward. And the reason for this was one of the dumbest reasons I have ever heard for this. Well, actually, no, it's not a dumb reason. It's a good reason. But there are some flaws that make it one of the dumbest reasons I've heard.
So, DreamWorks
Sloane's big idea
has this policy where they have a character of a certain ethnic group. That character has to be voiced by someone of the same ethnic group.
Yeah, and since, as far as I can tell, Phil Vischer, a white guy, is not a black guy who, as I have said, Mr. Nezer's voice is based off of the Oogie Boogie character from Nightmare Before Christmas, who was voiced by Ken Page, who is a black guy.
And Phil Vischer is not a black guy, so DreamWorks did not let him voice Mr. Nezer, and since they didn't have a black guy to voice him,
they replaced him.
He gone.
Yeah, but the thing is also, not only could have they hired some guy, they could have gotten Ken Page, I think he's still alive, but the thing is, Pa Grape is Jewish, Mr. Lunt is Hispanic, Archibald is British.
Technically still white, but...
Yeah, technically still white, or green in this case. Notice anything wrong here?
Yeah, they still let Phil Vischer voice Pa Grape.
Who's Jewish.
And Mr. Lunt.
Who's Hispanic.
And Archibald.
Who's British, technically white.
But green.
And not only this, but when I was a kid, I didn't know Mr. Nezer was black. I always knew Mr. Lund was Hispanic. He's yellow!
And he sounds like...
It sounds like this. I mean, how could you not understand that? This is obviously Hispanic.
Yeah.
I mean, if DreamWorks is going to get so upset about Mr. Nezer existing, how come I get the green pass? How come I get green lighted, but he gets pulled over to the side saying, hey, you're not allowed to exist anymore. We have to replace him with this Ickabeezer guy who looks more like a clown than he does you.
And in fact, even in the Jonah, Larry, and Mr. Lunt commentary, Larry pointed out that Mr. Lunt was Hispanic because Larry was saying that the French peas were actually Swedish, and Philippe P is another character of a different nationality who Phil Vischer voices.
Although technically he's still white.
Yeah. Jean-Claude as well, but Phil Vischer is Philippe. And then also, so he's saying that the French peas are actually Swedish, and then Mr. Lunt is saying, so you're critiquing their accents, next thing you know you're gonna critique my accent. And then Larry says, I would never critique your accent, it's so authentically Hispanic Italian, which it's not really Italian, but...
It's obviously Hispanic. I mean, look into the enunciations and the voices.
Yep.
But it's just... Mr. Nezer was around pretty much since the beginning, since episode 4, Ragshag and Benny, which was one of the most popular of them all. If you're gonna get rid of a character, try to get one that's like towards the later portion that we don't really care about, like Petunia.
You could have gotten rid of, oh, I don't know, maybe someone like that Ermi Asparagus who appeared down in Penniless Princess.
Who?
Yeah, they have a little asparagus now. A girl asparagus who was, well, actually first he was in Robin Good, but he was a minor role. And
oh, that guy.
Yeah, and then she was officially introduced in Penniless Princess.
Yeah.
And originally I think her name was Libby Asparagus, but then when she was in Penniless Princess, it became Ermi, and that just became her official name.
Interesting trivia aside, VeggieTales in the House, we're how many minutes in now? And we've only been talking about the characters. No, the character designs. There's more to talk about.
The character personalities.
They've changed. Larry is not anymore the happy, free, go-lucky guy.
But he knows when to get serious.
No. He's like new SpongeBob. All he cares about is being happy.
Happy and fun and so he's a really bad fish daddy apparently, and
Yeah, he
only cares about having fun. He just bounces off the walls, and also the redesign makes him look not quite ripe.
Yeah, and when he's, especially with that new design that's just so kind of quick
Creepy.
moving.
And yeah, and creepy too.
Yes, and very creepy.
Hyper.
But, yeah, just that it makes him seem like if he's not in a position where he's having fun, he's going to make you miserable. He's like my brother.
He's already kind of super annoying. Okay. Anyway. Bob, how would you describe Bob?
Okay, Bob is just kind of like a child, basically. Like in one episode, there's one episode where Bob is, pretty much the whole episode, he's complaining because he does not have a mustache.
And he feels insecure. Yeah, Bob is not the level-headed, semi-control freak, no, always serious guy who knows what to do. He is now basically a diet version of the Larry that's supposed to exist.
He's just like,
Diet Larry.
yep, that's his new name. He's no longer Bob, he's Diet Larry.
Diet Larry and Sponge Cucumber. Also, everyone else, would you say, is the same except... No, wait,
Well,
yeah.
For the most, they're similar.
Except for Ickabeezer. Paul Grape is actually now supposed to be the wise store owner who gives people advice. You know, like how to take care of a pet. And there's an episode where Ickabeezer, and he gets a new dog named, was it Ruthie or something? It's an Olive, and Larry and who I presume to be Laura wants a dog, and so they have to take care of fish, and they didn't do a good job of it.
Yep, and so now Pa Grape is like the lesson bringer for every episode, which he has been in a few of the classic ones, and it turns out well. Mm-hmm. But so it's,
Even in some of the newer ones, he has been, and that's have actually turned out very well.
That's not who he is. He can do that, but that's not his character.
He's not supposed to be the guy who gives all of the stuff.
He's not the wise old owl.
Yeah, or the Grand Duke of Owls, if you want to get technical.
Yep, not that owl either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of owls he's not.
Is there?
He's great.
Well, yeah. Is there any other personality changes that we like, major ones?
Well, I think all the other personality changes are ones that,
Minor?
yeah, are fairly minor.
Yeah, ones that don't matter. Then
Well, there is the one episode, it's not personality change, but of Petunia getting all weird and hallucinating about hot and cold stuff.
yeah. And we must talk about the humor. Does not put it justice. You remember back, I'm not even gonna go in the classic era, I'm just saying, let's say around 2006. From that point down, actually I'd say about 2007. That point,
Around that time.
That point, all the way back until the very beginning, it wasn't just a little kid's show. Well, it wasn't even a little kid's show. It was a family show. They explicitly said it was for families.
And they had a lot of jokes that kids won't get and adults find hilarious, that I still find hilarious.
I laugh out loud like at Lyle the Kindly Viking, Omelet. That had me in stitches when 3 years ago or something we were watching that just because we were just looking at internet stuff, and then we watched Omelet. We were on the floor laughing at that.
Yeah, some of that stuff is just gold. Like,
then again, we were also very tired.
yes, that is also a factor, but that doesn't change the fact it's amazing. Like, one of the greatest lines is when they're talking about sharing, also in Lyle the Kindly Viking, and Larry's talking about all the questions they've got, and he says, "What should I share? When should I share? Whatever happened to Sonny and Cher?"
There's a lot of that. Then
Nope,
also,
not Tito.
Nope, not Tito.
Are you sure it's not Tito?
Nope, not Tito.
And then, of course, there's Gilligan's Island reference, and God wants me to forgive them, which It may not have been well executed, but I appreciate the reference, even though I know absolutely nothing about it.
I know a fair amount about it.
And even in later parts, like Sumo the Opera, huge Rocky reference.
Yep. And also Phantom of the Opera, even though it didn't have a whole lot to do with that other than the title.
And Three Stooges.
Yeah,
There's
and
the Three
Three
Stooges,
Stooges.
one in the piano moving, and there was a lot more, too, later on, but I'd say around Pistachio.
That's when it just went.
That's when it went. That's when it went bust. That's when it got rid of all the adult humor. Coincidentally, that's also when the countertop got redesigned and QWERTY got replaced by, or downgraded, I guess, by QWERTY 2.0, who talks. That's a subject for another day. But you're probably wondering why I brought this up. VeggieTales in the House is a worse version of that.
If you ever see a review of it, you might say it's a. Some people might give it a positive review.
But they always say the same thing.
You might notice these key words. It's great for kids. Not
As in little kids, like the Nickelodeon audience. You know, the not to 3 Sad Onion crowd.
those guys.
The thing is also with even the original series, like now, we still watch it from time to time, you know? Don't ask why. It's kind of a mixture of childhood memories with hoping that they can actually turn out something good. They still have their good jokes, and even like if they are like low-hanging fruit, like, you know, for little kids stuff, it's still decent. It's not
Still can be
bad.
funny at time to time. It's just it doesn't have that special things of I get this, the kids don't.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of those anymore. None of that is present.
That doesn't mean it can't be funny. It just
It doesn't even have the clever, like, dialogue, like, remember that time when we covered you with tar and stuck you to the back of a water buffalo? Doesn't even have any of that anymore.
of just some of that dark humor that's just like
Like, I gotta see that stuff.
yeah, that's what.
Even the current series has a semblance of trying. This is just them giving up. Now, the episode plots. There's an episode about Bob having bad breath. There's an episode where they all hide from each other, even though they're all friends. And they hide in Pa Grape's store, and then he closes up shop. And then they have to work together to get out, even though they could just, like, I don't know, break a window.
But
And
of
then
course
explain
they're not
to him.
supposed to break things.
Because that's wrong. That's just a joke. They don't actually teach that yet.
We don't know that. There might be a VeggieTales episode in the future. Breaking glass is not safe.
No, breaking objects is because
Breaking
it makes the
objects.
objects' friends sad.
And then, if people are sad, it makes us sad.
And somehow they're going to tie that into Larry. Oh, one character we forgot that it was entirely skipped over. QWERTY. He's not in
Right.
this at all.
QWERTY is gone.
Good riddance.
Yes, I'd honestly far rather have him not be there than be there and talking.
I'd rather have none of the characters there than have them in this show.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd rather them all gone. And, like, I wish this was actually, like, a spin-off starring other characters so I couldn't get as mad at it. Like, if it was starring, say, not just new vegetables we haven't seen before, like the so-called producers of VeggieTales or something.
Also, in this one, in I think it was McLary and the Stinky Cheese Battle, that one, they had these 3 characters. They were like
I didn't
these.
think it was that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but they had those cabbage guys. They were. They could have had more characters like that. We'd never seen cabbages before that.
You have barely seen corn in there, probably because they actually eat popcorn.
Well, first of all, they pop the corn, then they eat the popped corn. So.
But disturbing cannibalism aside, aside from the crazy plots about like bad breath and running stores and taking care of fish, what have they done to these characters? This is what a lot of people since 1993 grew up on. They were kind of, like for some of the families, super close to them, like kind of estranged family members, if you will. Because, like, I know in my house when I was little, they were on pretty much all the time. That was my favorite show as a kid. I didn't care about, I liked Sesame Street, up for a point, and I didn't really watch Nick Jr. or anything, I just watched VeggieTales. It's pretty much, I can't really stop watching it now. Well, I can. It's actually kind of easy to. But every so often I just look back and I think, yeah, those were the days. But then you come across the newer stuff and you're like, okay, it's different. But I'm accepting of that. It's not for me anymore. It's for the new generation. This is probably what they want to see. VeggieTales in the House is not what the kids are going to want to see.
Like, sure, and at least let's focus on a couple positives. They do let them still have Bible verses, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But
And the humor from time to time, every so often they get a joke. Like, I remember this one scene where, like, Bob was rolling around, he hits the door. You kind of have to see it. And that was funny. Other than, like, that, there's just a couple laughs in there. The animation itself, although the designs look more like demons than they actually do vegetables, the animation itself looks nice. Like, the backgrounds and the character movements, they're fluent. They're good. So it's not, like, choppy frame rates or, as in God Wants Me to Forgive Them, it's all rubbery and doesn't look like they have, like, any structure.
But the thing is, if you're still going to teach lessons, which as of now, as occasionally shallow, well, frequently shallow as they can be, just at least they are giving them. But if you're going to teach a lesson, teach it through something that's going to appeal to someone.
The thing is, VeggieTales in the House kind of has 3-2-1 penguin syndrome.
It does.
Do you remember that? Every episode of that was just shallow, like, don't cheat,
Wait
don't
your turn.
complain. Yeah, wait your turn.
Which, sure, those are things that kids should learn, but
But this is really
Don't-
basic
do you
stuff.
want to give them a bit more depth?
Yeah, like, don't just say, oh, don't complain, it's wrong, and then just leave it at that. Yeah, you gotta give it a little bit more depth. Like in Lyle the Kindly Viking, sharing, that's one of the most juvenile lessons you could possibly teach. But they go into depth. They say, like, if you don't share, people won't help out with you, you won't get friends, you'll kind of be left alone.
And also,
And-
that sharing makes you feel better as well.
Yeah, and if you have all this stuff and you don't share, it's not as fun alone. You gotta need to give it to other people, then you can all have fun as well. See, that's depth. VeggieTales in the House, with its messages, it says, oh, don't take on too much responsibility, or because that's bad. It's just super shallow, and they don't explain it. I mean, sure, that it's 11 minutes, but you can come across a good message in 11 minutes. You really can. But actually, he and I agree. We don't blame Phil Vischer, Mike Naraki, Tim Hodge, or even Kurt Heineke for this. We blame DreamWorks entirely. Ever since... What?
Even Kurt Heineke.
Well, he's not like one of the story directors. He's the music composer. We don't blame any of them. We blame DreamWorks. Ever since they got bought out by DreamWorks, things have been going downhill. And now it's not like this downhill. It's this. It probably looks flat, but it's at such an angle where you can't notice
But
until it's too late when it crashes.
into my hand.
Yeah. So it's like they think they're going flat, but they're actually at a kind of an decline, like this.
And just
You just don't notice it. It's
going.
until
It hits my hand again. Or the pillow.
Yeah,
backwards
it
down.
just keeps going down. The thing is, VeggieTales in the House could be what tips it from here to here. And then there could be the second season. Third. Because they think this is going to last for 3 seasons. But the enormous backlash this thing's getting, so many negative reactions to it, even Phil Vischer saying he doesn't like it.
If you've seen some interviews with them, he might be talking, yeah, this is great for the kids.
That's not Phil Vischer. If you watch any of the commentaries or interviews before the DreamWorks era,
Yes, we made a new special and it's going to be great. You're going to love it. Your kids are going to love it.
like I saw an interview with him talking about Mo and the Big Exit. He was so happy. He was doing all these arm moves, da-da-da-da-da-da. When he was talking about why they had to boot off Mr. Nezer and why VeggieTales in the House exists, he was just kind of, talking like this.
Yeah. And every time after he stopped talking, sure, even if he's talking, he might be like, yeah, mm-hmm. Then when he was done, he just went to,
Yeah, or like this. Like this obviously fake smile.
yeah, just like,
And if you look into his eyes, you can just see, oh.
yeah.
And also another thing, there was a guy, when they were promoting the VeggieTales in the House, he was with the DreamWorks guy talking about it. He was all like this, and the DreamWorks guy was talking about this is going to be the new big thing. It's going to, and Phil Vischer was like, oh yeah, it's going to be good. Like that, your mom can just pull out the Netflix thing and they can watch it. What have I done with my life? VeggieTales in the House, it's awful. It's on a show that has shallow lessons. It is just very juvenile, very rarely funny. It has creepy designs. As a VeggieTales thing, it just solidifies this stereotype that it's just for kids.
I would mind it less if they had made it a new show.
Like, not in any way involve VeggieTales?
Yeah.